this?
It's a Bandicoot.
That doesn't look anything like a Bandicoot.
Have you ever seen a Bandicoot?
No, but I'm sure they don't wear sneakers.
Holy shit, what is this? A new Myk Plaze video? Jesus, it's been like, what, 3 or 4 months? Hooray for life being super fucking busy and stressful, but finally, here's a new video. And yes, I am aware I still have that Resident Evil 7 review to do, as well as the remaining 2 videos in my Castlevania Lords of Shadow revisits, which will most likely be really soon since the Netflix anime adaptation is out, and it is really fucking awesome by the way, and 9 out of 10, go watch it straight after this video. So anyway, today's video is going to start with a small trip back to my childhood, back around 1998 or 99. The 3 earliest games I remember being exposed to were Castlevania Symphony of the Night, GoldenEye 64, and Crash Bandicoot. Now, part of me feels like GoldenEye may have actually been the first game I ever played, but the game I remember the most vividly and fondly is Crash Bandicoot. And I will say this now, Crash Bandicoot is my favourite game of all time. And for curiosity's sake, my second favourite game is Resident Evil 4, and my third favourite is The Last of Us. I'll maybe make a top 10 games list at some point, who knows. I was obsessed with Crash Bandicoot as a kid. Always pestering my older brother to play his copy, staying at people's houses just to play it, drawing fan art of Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, I was a weird kid. And this was before I was introduced to the gorgeous hair of Leon S. Kennedy, whose look I'm currently sporting. My life as a gamer started with Crash Bandicoot, and Naughty Dog, as I played through all the original Crash games as a kid, all of which I spent a small fortune on tracking down physical copies of on eBay. My undying love for Naughty Dog as a developer started here too, and as such, led me to stick with PlayStation exclusively when it came to console gaming. Don't get me wrong, I love me some Halo, but it was never enough for me to justify purchasing an Xbox. So basically, I was fucking excited last year when Sony announced they were remaking the original 3 Crash games for PS4. Yes, these are remakes, because it's a brand new engine. A remaster is the same engine with some tweaks. And now, the Crash Bandicoot Sane Trilogy is finally out, selling like fucking crazy, meaning we'll probably be seeing the Spyro Trilogy remake in 18 months, and I have had the chance to sit down and play the finished product. Now, I need to clarify this video is a first impressions rant, as sadly I don't own a copy myself and was borrowing it off a friend, and that this video is also coming from a nostalgic fan, so some of my complaints are probably just overly critical nitpicks coming from a place of nostalgic bias, but I digress. First, let's focus on the positives. Yeah, these remakes look absolutely fucking gorgeous. The presentation is incredible with an impeccable attention to detail. The classic style of Naughty Dog's original Crash games has been wonderfully recreated here. All of the levels feature near identical geometry based off the original code, apparently that was the only usable part of the original code, and sport all of the expected upgrades of being rendered for a modern game engine. Suddenly, Crash has full real-time shadows, background objects are no longer flat textures but full 3D models, increased particles and the inclusion of volumetric and bloom lighting, gorgeous looking water effects. Crash even leaves a brief imprint on the ground when he body slams. The list of upgrades visually is extensive, and I could go on or just link you to the Digital Foundry video if you haven't already checked it out. Basically put, the visuals have gone from characters made from shaded polygons to movie animation-like quality. Like, seriously, Crash has shaders on him now that make it look like he has fur. Further adding to that movie-like quality is probably the thing that I've loved most so far about the remakes is the animation work. Vicarious Visions have taken the groundwork set by Naughty Dog's still impressive animation work and expanded upon it with all of the characters, bringing more character and personality to them, as well as adding to the stylized and offbeat humor in the games. Crash and Coco, respectively, both feature a bunch of amusing new idle animations and victory gestures, such as Crash coughing up a gem or struggling to pull a crystal out from the back of his pants, whilst Coco will get bored and play on her computer while she idles, or she'll play on her phone and this will happen.
How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes, got nowhere to run.
My favourite new animations, of course, are during the Crash 1 end level screen, where Crash reacts differently to the number of boxes dropped in his head as a result of how many boxes you missed. No wonder he always looks so fucking dopey, he's constantly concussed from all the boxes dropped on him. Even the bosses feature new animations, from Tiny Tiger spinning his pitchfork in Crash 3 to some of the extended boss deaths like Koala Kong and Ripperoo. I love it. There are also subtle but nice changes to some aspects of the gameplay, like for instance the HUD in every game will now tell you how many boxes there are in that stage. This greatly benefits Crash 1, as does the ability to replay the bonus rounds more than once, a feature originally first introduced in Crash 2. An interesting touch, one that I'm kind of torn about, is the fact that the boxes in the Crash 1 bonus rounds now count towards the level box count required for the gems. Which means, yes, you have to get all the boxes in the Embryo and Cortex bonus rounds too. This actually adds another level of challenge to Crash 1, as the remake retains the mechanic of having to beat a level without dying in order to get the gem. Combine that with time trial modes in all three games and you're talking about a lot of things to do and unlock, especially if you're looking to nab those sweet Platinum PlayStation trophies. Before I segue onto my nitpicks, I feel like I should mention the music, because I always talk about music in my videos. I haven't really got any issues with the music in these remakes, at least from what I've heard anyway, as I haven't quite had enough time to finish Crash 2 and 3. The music sounds roughly the same, all of the same notes and melodies are used, they've just been reinterpreted slightly with more modern sound engineering and work quite nicely with the new presentation overall. Yes, my biased nostalgic fanboyness will always prefer the original soundtracks, but I will admit to liking a few of the new updated versions more, Toxic Waste in particular. God, it just sounds so metal now. I need to learn it on guitar, it's that fucking awesome. Okay, now on to the downer part of the video, my nitpicks. Bear in mind, these complaints are coming from someone who has been playing these games for about 18 years now, so they stuck out to me a lot, especially since I replayed the original games this year prior to the release of the Sane Trilogy. My main gripe is with the controls. In particular, the controls for the first game, and it's gonna take a bit of articulating, so bear with me. Basically, what Vicarious Visions has done here is try to emulate the feel of each iteration of control changes Naughty Dog made over the first three games, and they get about 90% there with the first game. Now, I am well aware that the controls in Crash 1 were stiff and clunky, but over the years, I've gotten used to them. I mean, I actually managed to beat Stormy Ascent, so I must be pretty attuned to them. However, in the Crash 1 remake, the controls just feel a tad imprecise and a touch heavier. There seems to be an added element of momentum to his jumping that I don't recall from the original, at least not to this degree. There were so many jumps that I died from in levels that in the original I normally breeze through on one try. To be honest, it wasn't really bothering me at first. I figured I was just a bit rusty. Until I reached the high road level. I died about 40 fucking times on this level. I'm not kidding. It's on this level and Road to Nowhere with the imprecise momentum-based jumping controls made the game incredibly frustrating. Thank God the glitched ability to run along the ropes was still included, because that was literally how I beat it. I take my hat off to you, Markiplier, beating these levels, especially with it being your first time ever playing Crash.
Am I right, people? Am I right? Hell yeah. I did it. Hell yeah. Oh, you can walk on the ropes?
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg, and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost. The comrades I've lost. Won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there. You feel it too, don't you? I'm gonna make them give back our past.
Funny joke. That's a funny joke. You have to Google me. That wasn't true, was it?
It was also at this point that I realized you could actually play the game with the classic controls, a la using the D-pad, and then suddenly the game got a little easier. I guess my muscle memory works better on the D-pad since the original Crash never supported analog control. So suddenly I figured my control issues were over. Fucking nope! Even with the D-pad, Road to Nowhere still proved to be an absolute bitch to beat. I swear, those two fucking levels were never that hard in the original game. You know why I'm sure of this? Because I beat Slippery Climb in less than 10 minutes and only died like 4 times. Slippery Climb was easier. Quick side note, rumor has it that Stormy Ascent and the Cliffside level are being added to Crash Winners DLC. Yay! I also had a minor grievance with one particular control in Crash 2 as well, the slide jump. See, when I first started playing, I was having no trouble with it. It was working more or less how it did in the original. Hell, I even managed the emu slide jump on the first attempt, so I figured the controls in Crash 2 were fine. Fucking nope. To be fair, I only encountered this problem in this one particular area, so yes, this is a nitpick, but during the second boulder chase level, there's this one bit where you have to run up an alternate path and slide jump under an electric fence and over a pit. Something I can do, no sweat, in the original. First try, all good. In the remake, it took me, I swear, upwards of about 20 attempts. I managed to do it in 4 attempts when I was recording the footage for this video, but still, it just didn't work like it did in the original for this one bit. Crash would either jump up too soon or slide to his death, and it annoyed me very much as a biased, nostalgic fag. I am very happy to report, however, that I encountered no control problems whatsoever throughout my playtime of Crash 3, and I played a good chunk of it, making it up to the 4th warp room. It controlled exactly how I remembered it, and I wish I could say the same for the first 2 games. I've heard some people have complained about the vehicle and driving sections controlling terribly, but honestly they need to shut the fuck up because they always control terribly. Yes, the bike sections were shit back in 1998 too. Yes, Hura wasn't very agile back in 1998, and yes, the jet ski had awkward controls in 1998 too. I actually found the controls for the flying sections had been improved slightly, and the pace was quicker too, making them more exciting levels. Although, I guess while I'm talking about driving sections, I may as well complain one more time about the Crash 1 remake. Hog Wild and Whole Hog weren't quite perfect, but this time I don't think it's actually the controls. Again, I feel like they're slightly better than the original, but the enemies I swear must have larger hitboxes now because I found this one particular enemy really hard to avoid. And also lastly, just one more thing. I was kinda sad to find out that the original Crash Bandicoot 1 death animation, the one where he spins around and falls over, that didn't make it into the Crash Sane Trilogy. It's replaced with the Crash 2 Angel thing, and that made me a little sad. Having said all that, my short time spent with the Crash Sane Trilogy was a pretty amazing one. Despite my nitpicks, I do feel like a lot of love went into creating this package of remaking these 3 beloved PlayStation classics. And in terms of sheer content, for $80 New Zealand, that's pretty good value for money. All in all, this is a beautiful remake of some of my favourite games of all time, and I really do hope this bodes well for future PlayStation remakes of this kind of caliber. If I had to rate the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy based on what I've played so far, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. Those few control grievances I had with Crash 1 and 2 keeping the trilogy away from that perfect score. Now on to that Resident Evil 7 review. Castlevania. Also, just quickly, before I go, what's with this sudden meme about Crash Bandicoot being the new Dark Souls? I mean, granted, yeah, the meme is kind of funny, I like seeing some of the posts, but seriously, Crash Bandicoot has always been difficult. That doesn't suddenly mean it's Dark Souls. Souls Bandicoot, Crash Souls, I swear all of these memes are being made by people that never played the original game, but whatever.